Good morning everyone. We are on our way to the Vipassana Center, which is in Igatpuri, which is basically a meditation center where people go to kind of unwind and learn the art of meditation. We are currently about 91 kilometers away from where I live and about 30 kilometers away from our final destination. It's a really nice place that I've stopped at because there's mountains all the way up there. There's this train which is passing through over here. I'm not sure if the camera will focus well enough. But yeah, and there's a air filter over there also, in case you're missing that. Started the ride at about 6:45 and I'm here at, 7:45. Been a good ride so far. Had a lot of experiences with twisty roads, with long straights and with a lot of traffic also. The main reason I'm coming here is to test that. Well, not the RC390, I've been riding that for ages now. We're here to test the Castrol POWER1 Cruise, the 15W50 oil, which you might have seen in my last video where I spoke about the overheating issues on the RC390. And I've been using that for about maybe 2.5 months now. Decided to take it out of the city and see what it's like on the highway, and I'll be sharing my 2 cents about it today. I'm OGF, welcome to the channel. Now we're about 2 hours into this ride already. It was darker earlier on, and to be honest the lighting conditions weren't really great for vlogging, so I started this vlog, or rather recording this vlog a little later. For those of you who've been following the channel for a while now, you'd know that my daily commute does not include touching the highway as much as I used to previously. So considering I've had a chance to test this in the city, in our horrible traffic and road conditions, I thought why not bring the motorcycle out on the highway, give it a bit of twisties and whatnot, and let's see how this performs on the highway.
A few moments later.
Just when you thought you could get out of the city and avoid traffic, thank you universe, you have done it again. Yeah, Google Maps, where is that left? Okay, this one.
One eternity later.
A couple of my friends, Biker390 and the Roadrunner, I'm putting their Instagram handles on the screen right now, had done a ride over here a few months ago and had clicked a picture in front of that beautiful gate. And ever since I saw that myself, I wanted to get my motorcycle over here and get that picture clicked so that I can upload it on Instagram too. Do it for the gram. But the main reason for me coming here was also to test out the Castrol POWER1 Cruise oil, which I've been using on Rage for the last couple of months. Now I've mainly been using my motorcycle in the city for the last few months. Haven't had a chance to take it out on the highway. We took the V-Storm and the TRK to Nagpur, not the KTM. So I wanted to take out the KTM onto the highway and see how this oil performed on a longer ride. It's 128 kilometers from my home to Igatpuri, to this place over here. And I thought that was a fair amount of distance to be able to gauge how well the oil is performing out on the highway. Now for those of you who already know a bit about the Castrol POWER1 range, the cruise oil is meant for cruiser motorcycles. But the reason I put it in the KTM RC390 is because the oil grade, the 15W50, is what is recommended for the KTMs in India. If you have a look at your owner's manual, you'll see that also. As part of the range, there's also a 10W50 oil, which is made for motorcycles which are a little more sportier, like the KTM RC390, and I'll probably look at testing that after I'm done with my review of the 15W50 oil. Now there's a lot more that I want to share about the oil with you guys, but there's no point talking about that while I'm off the motorcycle. Let's get on the bike and get this started. Now while I have been using this oil on Rage for the last 2 months or so, we have been using the oil on the Himalayan for a longer period, since the start of the year actually. And we're pleasantly surprised by the way that motorcycle has been performing with the new oil. The engine doesn't heat up as much as it used to previously with the old oil, and it is a lot smoother than it was when we first got it. Now usually when you ride your motorcycle for a really long period of time, apart from your own fatigue kicking in, the motorcycle also tends to get a bit sluggish. One thing that Castrol claims that their new range of engine oils does is it doesn't allow that sluggish feeling to arise even after hours of riding it. And I'm happy to report that that is actually pretty true, because even after riding this for 3 hours and then stopping for a few minutes to click pictures and vlog back there and then getting back on the motorcycle, it doesn't really feel sluggish at all. The bike still feels like it can go for a few more 100 kilometers without any signs of getting tired. Though I can't say the same about myself. The heat is insane today.
A few moments later.
I just got back from my ride from Igatpuri, and what a ride it was. In the early parts of the morning, I experienced nice cool weather, then moved on to getting really hot by the time it was afternoon, and eventually it started to rain really heavily just before I reached home. Fortunately, I never got caught in the downpour. Got home, had a quick shower, tucked Bane in, and now I'm ready to complete the oil review. While we're on the topic of Mumbai's weather and how hot it was today, let's also talk about the heat management on the RC390. Now, for those of you who've been following my channel for a while now, you would have seen videos that I've put out in the past about managing the cooling system on the RC390. One of the main tips I shared in those videos was making sure that the oil grade that you're using on your motorcycle is the right one. KTM recommends the 15W50 oil grade for the RC390 in India, and I prefer the Castrol 15W50 to the other oils that I've been using on Rage for the last few months. Primarily because it's managed to sort out a lot of heating issues that I had in the past with the motorcycle. I've noticed that the engine temperatures don't run as high as they used to. In fact, for those of you who own KTMs, you know that left gauge which indicates how high the temperature is. Previously I used to have those bars light up right up until the end and probably just have one bar remaining before moving into that final section where your motorcycle would give you that high coolant temperature warning. Now the motorcycle runs 2 bars below that, and that's even during stop and go traffic, even during really hot days, and even if I am pushing the motorcycle a little more than I should be. And that to me was probably the main difference I've noticed between the 15W50 oil and any other oil that I've used on Rage before. Castrol also claims that there's a 14% better oxidation resistance in comparison to competitor brands. And what this basically means is that your drain intervals would be longer. So if you're someone who likes to tour a lot or cover a lot of miles on your motorcycle before you want to change your oil, then this oil is definitely something you should look at. Castrol also shares that there's a 5% increase in power, and while this is based off tests that they've conducted on motorcycles other than the RC390 and the Himalayan, both my brother and I have noticed that our motorcycles perform a lot better even closer to the red line. Now we're not people who go around revving our engines around like crazy or riding at really insane speeds, but the motorcycles feel a lot more smoother, and at least on the RC390 I've noticed that initial surge of power which you get is a lot more easily accessible, so to speak, if that makes sense, right from the get-go. And that's something which I really liked about the way this oil performed and made the engine kind of transform altogether. Another thing that really stood out for me was the fact that this oil comes in a 2.5 litre can versus some of its competitors which only come in a litre can. And what that means is that on a motorcycle like the RC390, where you'd use about 1.6, 1.7 litres worth of oil when you're draining out the oil and putting in new oil, you still have about 0.8 or 0.7 litres worth of oil to then top up the oil in case you need to later on. And that's really handy for someone like me who rides my motorcycle day in, day out, and would look at topping up my oil every now and then. And if you're touring, you pretty much know that that's something you look at very frequently. Another thing which really works in its favor is the cost of this oil. And what I've noticed is that this oil in a 2.5 litre can costs pretty much the same that some of the other competitor brands would cost in a 1 litre can. So if you're looking for value for money, then I definitely say this stands out way ahead of the competition. Now, the Castrol POWER1 Cruise is part of an entire range of the Castrol POWER1 series, which has different oil grades and different kinds of oils which you can use on different types of motorcycles. So if you're wondering whether this oil is compatible with your motorcycle, click the link in the description and you can find out more information about it. It also has videos which will help you get more information about how these oils can benefit your motorcycle in the short and long term. My next move now is to test out the 10W50 oil, which I've wanted to be testing out for a while now, which is Castrol's POWER1 racing oil. And I'm going to be using that on my KTM RC390, and I'll probably share feedback about how that's worked out as well. Alright, that's pretty much all I had for today. Thank you again so much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you did not, share feedback. As always guys, at least wear your helmets while riding your motorcycles and ride safe. It's a freaking jungle out there. Goodbye. If you enjoy motorcycling content, follow Castrol Biking and me, Oggy F, on Instagram as well. The links are in the description.